you were accused during the trial of taunting witnesses, of bringing them to tears, of inducing panic attacks. How do you reflect on that now?
You know, when you walk into a courtroom, whether you're a defense attorney, whether you're a defendant, whether you're a prosecutor or a witness, everyone has a role and a job that they have to play and do. And, you know, when the women make allegations in this case, part of making allegations is that your stories are challenged. That's what the American justice system looks like. You make a claim. The defendant has a right to something that we call the Sixth Amendment right to confront your accusers, and you can ask questions to do that. You know, the people that criticized me, I don't think they really think about the big picture, and I don't understand what they were hoping for. Were they hoping that we would let people walk into a courtroom, tell their stories, and not be asked any questions? It doesn't make any sense. That's not how a court procedure works.
The trial obviously had little forensic evidence.
It had zero forensic evidence.
So it was down to the testimony of these women, and ultimately that was accepted by the jury. Do you accept that things are changing in the way these kinds of cases are tried?
If this becomes a pattern or a model for the way juries decide cases, I think every single person who finds themselves charged with a crime should be concerned. Because if we are finding people guilty where there are mountains of doubt and very little evidence, if any at all, I think we need to question what the justice system looks like.
But when you have sexual assault cases, the idea of a woman coming to police with a test tube of evidence just isn't realistic, is it?
Well, that's not true. That's not true. It's not about realistic.
Women.
No, but the question is, do you have to believe someone just because they make a statement? There is a history of cases where women don't tell the truth. So to say that now we should just believe women just because they make a claim without any evidence to back it up, and actually evidence to the contrary, I think that we have to be concerned about what these verdicts look like.
But false rape accusations are a tiny percentage of overall rape accusations, and you're speaking as though it's the overwhelming majority.
I'm not speaking as it's the overwhelming majority. You are speaking as if because someone makes a claim, it should be gospel. We have a system of justice in the United States that says you are innocent until proven guilty.
I'm sure I don't need to remind you of the headlines that have been written about you. What kind of woman defends Harvey Weinstein? There's a special place in hell for Weinstein's lawyer. The Me Too movement has a very loud voice. Has their case and their argument ever made you feel like you're a traitor to your gender?
Not at all. I have a job to do. I believe in the system of justice that we live under in the United States. I think that we have to fight hard to preserve people's rights, and I'll continue to do that.
Are you confident that you're on the right side of history here?
You know, who decides what that is? I think that'll happen. I think that determination will happen long down the road, maybe long after I'm gone. If you're looking at it through a moral lens, everyone's guilty. But that's not what we do in a criminal justice system. That's not how it works.
These women were guilty?
They were guilty of a lot of things. They were guilty of using Harvey Weinstein. They were guilty of asking Harvey Weinstein to do things, making him believe that they wanted to be with him, that they wanted to spend time with him, and then get up on a witness stand and call him disgusting, sending him letters saying, miss you, big guy, sending letters saying, love you lots. I mean, how is that okay? How are we as a society saying, men all bad, women all good, when we look at that evidence? How do you reconcile that?
Did that behavior warrant sexual assault?
We're talking about two different things. You're asking me if the women were guilty. I'm telling you that they were guilty of certain things. No behavior warrants sexual assault. None. The question here is whether sexual assault took place given everything else we know.
And
That's
you
the
believe
question.
It did not?
Absolutely right.
Coming forward cannot be an easy decision. It brings intimidation, it brings intense scrutiny, it can ruin a career. Surely a woman's not going to do that unless she's telling the truth.
I think that that's probably one of the most ridiculous statements I've ever heard. There are so many reasons people lie. People lie on a regular basis, whether we're talking about sexual assault, whether we're talking about whether or not they made a phone call, whether or not they showed up at work on time. People lie. We live in a society of people who lie. So to say that we should only question people in every other aspect of life, but we should never question them about sexual assault.
You've seen these women up close. They
Sure.
didn't look like they were having a good time in court.
No, of course not. Going to court is not a good time for anyone. It wasn't a good time for Harvey. It's not a good time for them. Being in a courtroom is never a pleasant experience. Of course not. It's not a pleasant experience for anyone.
So why would they put themselves through that if they're not telling the truth and seeking justice?
Let's see what happens after this sentencing tomorrow, and we'll see how many people file lawsuits against Harvey Weinstein.
Is it such a radical position to believe women, to have that as the foundation?
It is not a radical position to believe people on the surface level about anything. That's not a radical position. But to say that you should believe a statement that someone makes without challenging in any way when you have evidence to the contrary, that's very dangerous, is what I'm saying. So can you imagine if we lived in a society where we say, well, everything everybody says we must believe?
If there are other factors taken into account here, surely the volume of allegations has to play a role.
It plays a role in the court of public opinion. It should not play a role in the courthouse where you're looking for justice in a criminal case.
You have said that you have never been sexually assaulted.
Correct.
Because you've never put yourself in that situation. So are you implying that there is choice in being sexually assaulted?
I am implying that there is choice in the circumstances in which we put ourselves.
So you think there are things that women can and should do to limit their chances of being sexually assaulted?
Absolutely. I think just as when we walk down the street, we take precautions. When we get in the car, we put a seatbelt on, we take precautions. I think it would behoove all of us to take precautions when we're putting ourselves in circumstances that we think might be tenuous.
But you seem to be accepting of a world where there are sexual predators and it's up to women.
No, I'm a realist.
To change their
no,
lives to
not at all.
accommodate that.
Not at all. I'm accepting of a world that bad things happen in. It's unrealistic to think that it doesn't.
What about the man's role in this? The man's role who holds the power, certainly in this situation.
I don't think
being
men
the
have any
person
power anymore.
Who says, I can further your career.
I don't think men
I
I don't think men have any power anymore. How does a man have power today if a woman can say anything she wants and they're going to be believed? That takes away every ounce of power that a man has. The pendulum is swinging so far in another direction that I think it's dangerous and scary. And nobody's going to change my mind about that.
Harvey Weinstein has been called a monster, a predator. How would you describe him?
Harvey Weinstein is a wickedly intelligent person who has worked very hard, who has sacrificed a lot of things for the expense of perfection and making great movies. I think that he would be the first one to say that he made mistakes in sacrificing time with family and friends in the pursuit of greatness and success in the business world. He has never been anything but kind to me, to the defense team. He's grateful to us. I don't have negative words to say about Harvey Weinstein. I didn't have a negative experience with him. I found him to be very easy to work with, actually. And frankly, I think whatever is going to happen to him tomorrow will make me sad.